Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to Fixing the Fish. And today we're going to be reviewing the Shimano Caenan. This is a left-hand retrieve, the 151, and the right-hand retrieve I believe is the 150. And I picked this up from Dick's Sporting Goods on sale for about $83 shipped. It was originally $100. And we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of this reel. Looks wise, it's a very nice looking reel. This is in 6:3:1. It palms really well. Feels really good. And it's got the centrifugal brake system that a lot of Shimano reels have. It is a little difficult to get the top off of this sometimes. But you have 4 brakes. And when I got it, it was set to 2 on, 2 off. Oh, I got bite there. Got fish. I had a fish. Didn't take it. Getting back to the reel. It was set with 2 brakes on, 2 brakes off. I found that to be a little obstructive to my casting. So I have it set to 1 brake on, 3 off. And it's very smooth. It's a very smooth reel. And it's very, very forgiving with backlashes. I really have to screw up to make this thing backlash. And you can see I'm just throwing a soft plastic. I just backlashed. But, yeah, you can see it didn't backlash that bad. Just overran a little bit. But it's a very forgiving reel. And I really like it. As you can see, I'm just throwing that zoom crawl with no weight. And it's doing pretty well. Like I said, it's very comfortable. It looks nice. It's got a metallic black finish. Really nice accent with the spool. Just feels really nice. For a budget reel, it feels really, really nice. So let's move on. These are the things I like about it. So let's move on to things I don't like about it. Not a whole lot, to be honest with you. Only a couple gripes, really. One is you can definitely tell that the bearings are sort of lower quality bearings. And even on free spool, which I admit I am not the greatest in the world at casting free spool with no brakes. Even with that, the brakes turned off, it still has sort of a limited cast that you would see, you know, a significant difference in more of a mid-range reel, like something in the 150s maybe. You would see probably an extra 5 feet of distance. Although I do admit free spool is something that I've been working on. I can do it with my Tatula. I haven't had this long enough to really get good at free spooling with this reel yet because they all feel a little different. You got a little rat. That's who was taking my bait. It's the little guy. Little dude. He's pretty. Not quite what I'm looking for. Really digging these zoom critter crawls, I think they're called. I've noticed that the bass in my ponds really like a slimmer profile bait than something big and chunky. And they really like really narrow crawls. and they seem to dig these. I just picked these up. So if you notice that your bass are having a preference and you want something that has a little slimmer profile, check out these Zoom critter crawls. They're really nice little baits. They're pretty cheap. I got mine at Academy for a couple bucks. But anyway, getting back to the reel. The bearings on these reels are definitely not the best that Shimano makes. I believe they're saltwater resistant, so that's a plus. That's one of the reasons I got this reel. But they're not super smooth. Even casting fairly heavy weights, you're not going to see the distance that you'll see on, a reel in the 150 range. Which brings me to my next point. I feel that this is a great reel for around 60 bucks. It's light years away from a Black Max, so if you're a beginner and you're looking to upgrade, this is your reel. You would definitely, if you want to spend a little bit more money but not go whole hog and get something, over $100, this would be your reel. It's very easy to use. But again, my main gripe with this reel is the price point seems a little high for what it is. If you're willing to spend $150, you're going to see a big performance increase in your cast distance. And even though I don't do a reel versus reel test, because I feel you're going to get different results from different people, because everybody has different levels of skill at casting. I don't think anybody can really do a true reel versus reel, especially when you have differences in braking. Which brings me to my next point. At my skill level with baitcasters, just having one brake on is still too much brake for me, and there's no way I can turn it down any lower than that. So that's just a limitation of the braking system. For me, it's somewhere in between free spool and one brake on, and there is no in between. So that's kind of it's a negative for me. It may not be a negative for everybody, but if you're like me and you have more experience with baitcasters and you want sort of an intermediate braking between one brake on and no brakes at all, you don't have that ability with this reel, which is one of the reasons I like mag brakes, because you have more degrees of adjustability. So you can get that extra couple of feet out of your cast. And that comes into play especially with your lighter baits like this, where you would want maybe, an extra few feet or so. But it's definitely not a deal breaker. And if you can find this reel for around $60 to $70, I would say it's a worthy purchase. It does well with just about anything I've thrown with it. It cranks well. If you're looking for a reel like I am, I was looking for a reel for the colder times of the winter when things slow down. I needed something with a little slower retrieve, and this really fit the bill with a 6:3 to 1 ratio. Like I said, it's just very comfortable. It's definitely a pleasure to use it. And I do think it would be an excellent beginner reel. I would definitely recommend this. If you're serious and you're going to commit to using a baitcaster, I would definitely buy this over like a Black Max or something cheap. I feel like this is a solid reel. And if you're looking, even if you are experienced with baitcasters, you might want to add an extra one. You don't want to spend a lot of money. This is a good option. It definitely performs well for being a budget reel. Now we're going to get to the ugly. Other than the spool cover being kind of tricky to open sometimes. I've noticed that the thumb bar release will sometimes only partially release when you start cranking, and you'll get this sort of in between locked and unlocked position where you're still able to crank, but it's there's a lot of resistance, and sometimes when the more you crank, it'll pop out. Sometimes you have to push the thumb bar down again, and I feel like that's a design flaw. It's not a big deal, but a lot of the times I'll think that I have my line wrapped around one of my guides because it's cranking in slow, and I'll stop and have to look and see that it's just the thumb bar kind of stuck in a halfway point. But again, it's more of an annoyance than anything. It doesn't really affect anything per se, because when you get a fish on and you start cranking, the thumb bar will, most of the time, it'll pop out, start working right, and release the spool. Here's something you don't see every day. That is a gigantic dead snapping turtle. Wow. We've had some colder weather the past few days. I wonder if he'd couldn't get warm. So that's my review of the Shimano Caenan 151, and if y'all have owned one of these reels, be sure to drop a comment, tell me what you think about them. If you had any issues with them, let me know in the comments. All I ask is that you be polite, and thanks for watching. Till next time, have a good one.